Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wolke with StartupTrading.com. Just doing a sound. It's basically 9 a.m. on Tuesday, August 5th. So looking back at yesterday's session, right, we just went kind of straight up, kind of flagged and built that shelf, and then got a late push up. Uh, basically when Palantir reported after the close, right? I think they reported the first time over $1 billion in revenue or something of that sort, and just pushed all the futures up, uh, and then right into basically just their next levels and shoving everything away. So we'll get into what that did to structure, but we did. Yesterday we talked about that we had just come back to the bottom of the previous balance zone before the breakout. Perfectly technical, coming back up. So now it's time to see whether we just kind of you know consolidate in a little bit bigger range maybe, or in the next by the end of the week if we can push back up to all-time highs or not. I think that's really the game. There's really no catalyst this week whatsoever. We have President Trump on a hot mic this morning on CNBC talking about tariffs and potential deals, and just you know typical jawboning for what he would like to see, maybe putting a little pressure on some of these countries. And, so I think we have more headline risk than we do scheduled news risk this week, in my opinion. Just putting that out there. So, untested points of control from last Thursday, 63.75 basically. From yesterday, 63.46. And from Friday, 62.64. I don't think we can get down to 62.64 today, but we could, play in between. And we'll get into the title of my video here in a minute. And if we look, we're just sitting here in the overnight range, very tight, right? We had pushed up, and I had mentioned yesterday that this area was the target, right, for the bulls yesterday. And then we'll have to see what the bears want to do. But if you just count, you know, who's right, who's wrong, there's at this point in time, there's only 4 days, maybe five, of who would be wrong if you look to the left if you're a bull, uh, going to the you know, and then so you got lots of shorts still caught below, so you could kind of push up through these potentially. And let's get into the rest of the technical analysis. So that Palantir push up are these blue boxes, those salmon run trades for yesterday. You can see that out of all the indexes, the Dow is the only one that is trading below those and back in yesterday's range and back in yesterday's value area. The rest of the indexes have not. So we'll see um, if we lose yesterday's high, right? The gap fill is right there, value area high is right there. You could get a flush back down to 23,250, basically 255. That would only be 110 points down from where we are right now, 115. Definitely doable during the session at some point in time. Otherwise, it's just that further game of keep away, right? You're just trapping those bears further. So I think we got lots of markers to look at today for that. And then if we look at the bigger picture, right? I didn't update the SPY and the Qs on this chart yet, but I did update the cash market, the SPX, because there's an iron condor on there today, uh, and that basically runs from uh, below the spike up yesterday on the cash market to basically right around where the breakdown and everything was. So you're looking at 60. What they did was they sold outside of 6,300 to 6,350, right? They're just trying to sell time here for today. So that's your resistance right around 6,300 to 6,350. Your zone that when we get to the edges of it, you get about 15 points uh, above that and 15 points below it, that's your defined band for the day before the seller of that iron condor has to do something um, to their position if it gets out of whack today. So we should be staying in there. That's right now we're up 7 points in the ES. So you're talking about being maybe up another 30 or so, and then the same with the Don. So watch this cash market on this lower right grid here and see if the VIX is doing anything. And you can see in the overnight session, right, still just sitting here uh, right at that 6,300, basically 60. I'm sorry, 63.50 is right where we topped out. Had that double top, and we'll see if we can rotate down lower and just get a shakeout at least of that Palantir trade, what I call the refund trade, and it wouldn't be much below there to get it. And to be honest with you, you got potential support, like I mentioned, at 23,250 to 255, and then you got right at basically 190, 23,190. And then we'll just watch. I'll update a little bit more in the room today if I see anything going on. But that overnight high, right? You imagine there's some stops above there, and on the there's really no stops on the overnight lows, right? It's not well defined like the top is. I hope this helps. We'll see what sequences Jack's looking at next.